Katy engaged.
About sex. I'm jealous of you. You're getting engaged.
You nervous for the honeymoon?
You just have this free reign.
Toxic purity culture. Am I bad for my husband? I'm not that good at sex.
Actually, good for you. I'm not jealous of you.
Sex will be bad. Hi guys, we're gonna be talking about engagement.
Engagement is sex.
Oh! Okay. Hey guys.
I'm afraid of sex.
I'm not engaged! Honeymoon. Do people actually think I'm engaged? Who's the man? Who's the man? Hey guys. We're getting up close and personal in this video. I don't even have a boyfriend. Don't even have a crush. I'm just kidding.
Like, hi.
Do you have any anxiety thinking about getting married? Any pressure to say yes? Hey guys, welcome back. It's Katy, Patty, and
Carrie.
and Carrie. This is my beautiful friend. Today I brought her on my channel to talk about engagement. She is engaged. Show the ring. Yeah. I don't know if it's in focus, but it's a nice ring. But she's engaged. I'm not. We're gonna clarify that one more time. I posted it on my story and some people thought it was me getting engaged. It's not. Anyways, I brought her on this channel so she could bring her perspective for engagements and so I can gain some more wisdom and knowledge, and also for you guys. And I know a lot of you are in different seasons. Some of you are single, some of you are dating, some of you are married, some of you are engaged and actually in this season. I thought it'd be pretty interesting for all across the board. So, Carrie, give us a little bio.
I'm 21 years old. My fiance's name is Andrew. Fiance.
Fiance.
I go to Bible college with Katie. I'm going into my 4th year. And that's all about me.
She's older than me. I'm friends with old people. Yes, she's 21, and so there's also a lot of questions in this video about like age and marriage and stuff like that, and her fiance is
26.
26. He's an oldie. Let's just jump right on into the video. Before we get onto the video, don't forget to go like and subscribe to this channel for more. Also go follow my Instagram and TikTok at katyy.patyy with 2 eyes on each side so you can join the journey, join the Katy Patty fam. Don't miss a video. You'll probably see more Carrie on here. We're actually gonna ease our way into this just so you guys keep watching. We're gonna do the like soft, nice ones, and then we're gonna do spicy. Okay, spicy. Which means sex. Okay, so big or small wedding, Carrie?
Well, it all depends on your family or whatever your life decisions are. I personally want a small wedding. I'm from Ontario and Andrew's from Alberta. We're having it in Ontario just because it works better for my family. So it will be a lot smaller because it'll be from with my people there. My max would be like 100, hopefully less than that.
Okay, so since Carrie's getting married young, how does your family and also how does Andrew's family feel about getting married young?
Since Andrew's a lot older than me, his younger brother is already married, so his family was all like, why aren't you married yet, is their kind of perspective, which is very unlike where I come from. So that was interesting. I got Andrew to call my mom before he did it, not like ask for permission, more just be like, be involved in it. And apparently she was like totally speechless, not expecting it at all. I'd say now they're very supportive because my mom is like, yeah, like he's the person she's supposed to marry, like she sees it in a good light now. But at first I think she was very surprised because she's like, you're my youngest child, this doesn't make sense, you shouldn't be getting married until you're like 30. I think it was weird for her at first. Everyone loves Andrew. They're all in support of it.
Give us a little rundown on how you guys met. Also, like how long you've been together.
So we've been dating for 2.5 years. We got engaged pretty much at the like 2.5 mark. It was within that month. We met through friends. He goes to Bible college with us now, but he wasn't in it before. I just met him through my friends there. Oh, we've been engaged for a month.
Her engagement photos are really cute too. We'll put it here.
Yep.
So we'll put it here. Go look at her engagement photos. Really good. Did you know that he was gonna propose?
Okay, I fully knew. There was no
Andrew's not good at lying.
Really bad liar.
That's good. Good quality in a godly man.
Basically, we had talked about it in that year that we wanted to get married, but I thought it was coming a lot later. So there was that element of surprise, but I thought it was coming a lot later. I knew because he had a plan to go to like the ring store and he accidentally invited me.
Andrew!
When he did propose, I got sick at the restaurant and normally I would just go home. But he was like, no, like we have to go to the lookout point. Go there and look at it. And I'm like, I feel ill. And he's like, we're going anyway. So that kind of was like, okay, I know what I'm getting myself into.
What are some Christian wedding ideas or traditions that you have decided you want to do or considering?
I don't have too much of an idea yet, but I do really like when couples do communion together. I think that's really beautiful. Or I just went to a wedding this past weekend and both families prayed together and I thought that was really beautiful. beautiful.
Oh, that makes me want to cry.
And they also had like a worship service, which I also really love. I want my marriage to be fully focused on God. That's why we get married. Like, it's imagery and like obviously for other reasons, but like that's a huge part of it, is that it's like we're the bride of Christ and we are now making that with our relationship. When you focus it towards the Lord and make it about that, that's just so awesome.
That's why you get married. I heard this quote one time of like, the reason for marriage, like the purpose of marriage is that you are going to further God's kingdom better together than apart. Also, what I think I want to do, foot washing.
I have seen that and I've thought about that
I
too.
want to so badly.
I have
because
them.
that's active surrender for both of you. It's like active submission of like surrender, serving each other. Oh,
Yeah, and like letting your guard down to do that in front of other people.
yeah.
I think it's so vulnerable. Like, that is a whole new level of vulnerability, and I think it's beautiful.
And humility as well.
Yeah.
I'm definitely doing that. I'm definitely doing
It's
that.
I don't know if Andrew will be down because he doesn't like feet, and I don't really like feet. But like, I can move past that.
Do you have any anxiety thinking about getting married?
I think I definitely have anxiety with getting married. You have like a year or however long you're engaged for of just like all this build up until that day. So I think it can be a lot of pressure. I'm trying to approach it of having a wedding that just brings me joy. I'm doing everything I want to do. I want to thrift my dress, or I want to make my decor, doing things that make me happy. Because if I'm just anxious about booking the right photographer or asking the right person to marry us, it's gonna become more scary than fun. And it's like a stage of your life that should be a fun time.
What is God teaching you during this time? How has God been using this season of your life different? Because it's a different season than any season you've been in.
So one thing that I'm learning right now, kind of I guess like in the season of engagement, that I'm not a burden. And that's kind of been something that I've struggled with like my whole walk with God, is that I'm burdening the people I'm around, or like I should do everything on my own. I don't need help. And that's something that I'm always struggling with. And God's really been like shifting that. Is when you're engaged with someone, you have to ask them for help. You have to do things together. You can't shape your relationship as two different people, because you're becoming one, and you still are individuals in your relationship. You're becoming one, and you have to rely on one another. Like I want to get married in Ontario. I had to ask to do that. I could have just tried to switch out my whole life and make that not happen, but I needed to ask and not see myself as a burden. So that was a really big thing that I'm learning.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
So good. So are Christians only supposed to get married in a church?
I personally think this one's more of like an opinion. Like some people may say yes 100% to that, but
Presence of God is everywhere.
Exactly. God is not contained to a building. Presence is everywhere. Like he's involved in our relationship now, he'll be involved after. Obviously, I would love to get married in a church if I can find one that I think is pretty enough, or like in a chapel or something. But I find the more important thing, I guess, is like I really want to have a pastor marry us. Like that's what I see as more significant, because it's someone that's been impacting our lives. So I don't think it needs to be confined to a church.
Amen. Presence of God is everywhere. So any pressure to say yes, especially if he insists you're meant to be together?
I think it can be really easy to feel like you have to say yes, especially if you don't know that it's gonna happen, and then you have your family there or your friends there and you have that pressure. Like obviously you're gonna want to say yes. But what I appreciated about Andrew is we talked about it a lot before we got engaged, which is like some people don't like that. You want the element of surprise, but it was actually very beneficial to me because I could tell him when I was ready and when I wasn't, because he would say like, oh, I'm so excited to marry you one day or whatever, and it changed from ifs to whens, and that really stressed me out because I was like, oh, like seems real. I remember I told him, I was like, oh, like I'm not ready yet, like I don't want to talk about this anymore. I don't want to talk about us getting married. Like we need to take a pause on like having that conversation. I don't know the exact moment it happened. I like talked to a mentor in my life and I told her why I was afraid to get married so young, because of stigma, and that was my first reason. I was like, oh, Bible college stigma, like that's why I don't want to get married. She's like, that's your only reason you don't want to get married? And I was like, ooh, you caught me there. And just kind of knowing if your reasons are because of your heart or because of judgment of other people. And I knew that I didn't want to get married because of other people's judgment, not because of where I was at. I was content and I knew that he was the person that I was going to marry, but because of my age I was like, oh no, I can't do that. But then I went and told him, I was okay, I'm ready whenever you are ready, and here I am.
So how did you know he was the one? I don't personally believe in the one, and I know you don't either. I think there's a lot of people that you're compatible with, but there's also one person you get married. So I think there's one person you get married to. So how did you know that he was the one you were going to marry?
I think like I assumed really early, which is like very dangerous. You kind of have like that honeymoon stage of a relationship, which we talked about is like 3 months, or it can be short, it can be longer. Like honeymoon stage is really easy to be like, oh, this is the perfect person for me. Like we're gonna get married, we're gonna have 17 kids, like just like really you put yourself in this like
I'm sorry,
dream.
just imagine having 17 kids.
But once you kind of get out of that honeymoon phase and start to see yourself as an actual couple and not just as this like fairy tale land, if that makes sense, that's kind of like when you start to question, oh, is this the person I'm supposed to be with? Or am I like not faking it, but like leading the relationship on and just like in it because it's easy?
Are you in that relationship because it's easy and it's convenient for
And I
you?
can like honestly say I battled with that one a little bit. I like went up to Andrew and I was like, are you settling for me? Like, is this easy for you because like you're older and you think you need to get married? Like I nailed him with all those questions. More was my own insecurities. He was totally fine. He wasn't doing anything to make me question. Like he was thriving, but it was my own head spinning. The reason that I knew that he was the person I was gonna marry was because at one point in our relationship, like I was struggling with, should I be with somebody else? I have a lot of guy friends and I was like, oh, should this person be the person I was with? And kind of struggling with that and wondering if like I needed to take a break from him or whatever. And he was just so peaceful through all of that, like throughout me like questioning. Obviously he got defensive and like worried that I was gonna break up with him. Like obviously we would have gone through that too, but he was just always so peaceful, humble to my breakdowns or to my anxieties or my whatever chaos I was bringing. But I remember one night as he like dropped me off, I was like, wow, like you truly show me the love of Christ. And he was like, wow, that's the best compliment I've ever received. At this point, I kind of already knew that I was gonna marry him, but that was like when I saw that in him, where he was always so humble to just like everything I brought him. He never wanted to run away. He just kept coming back. And I was like, that's the love of Christ. You just keep coming back.
Because that's what Christ does. You know?
Keeps coming back.
Oh, good answer. Now let's talk about sex. Are you nervous for the honeymoon if you're waiting until marriage? She did wait.
I am currently waiting.
She's currently, I'm like, how do I word this? Because I haven't. I'm waiting till marriage now. Are you nervous for the honeymoon? Also, Andrew has waited 27, 26 years. So if you don't think it's possible, people.
I think it's very healthy to be nervous because you kind of have to start switching your mindset from this is such a horrible bad thing that I'm never allowed to do to be like, oh, now I'm just allowed to do this now. And I think that's such a hard transition. You're literally going from this being the one thing I'm not allowed to do to now being the thing that I am allowed to do.
And allowed to do anything.
Yeah, like you just have this free reign.
Yeah, it's like the day before you're not allowed to even touch anything, and then the next day it's like you're allowed free range.
And I think that is more what scares me is like it's a different level of intimacy, it's a different level of vulnerability. Being raw with your partner about that. We did like a pre-marriage course, if that makes sense. And like one of the things was like a section about sex. We had to talk about like our fears of marriage, and I'm afraid of sex. Let's talk about it. And I was like, oh, I don't want to talk about it. But like, telling your partner where you are in that realm, like if you're struggling with temptation or you're not, just like being vulnerable before you have to be vulnerable with them. I think that's really important.
And also I was talking about this with a coworker, and we were talking about how so many Christian girls struggle when they first get married because all they've ever been told is sex is bad, sex is disgusting, not good, blah blah blah, to prevent them from having sex before marriage, which just adds into toxic purity culture and damaging like church hurt. And then suddenly one day they're just allowed to do everything, and so in the back of their mind it's just they still have that kind of trauma from that, and so sex doesn't work and it's not good, and then they are like, am I bad for my husband, and get this insecurity of, oh, I'm not good enough, I'm not that good at sex. I feel like it's something people should be more open about, and I hope that on this channel you feel like you can talk about sex not in a bad way, because I've said in multiple videos and so many times that sex is supposed to be good, and sex will be bad in marriage. Like, it's not always gonna be the greatest thing ever, it's not always gonna be woo. A stigma that like needs to be broken is that yes, sex is meant to be good, it's meant to be beautiful, it's meant to be this God-given gift. You have a sex drive and God wants you to use it, but also you have to remember that in marriage sometimes it won't be the best thing ever, and also it's not bad and it's not disgusting and it's not gross. It's like a gift from God.
That was my biggest mind switch that I had to make. Sex is a gift from God. He did create it.
Yeah,
it's not just this like horrible thing that Satan brought into the world. Satan didn't bring things into the world. Like, God brought it here for us to enjoy, but in a specific way, and that's in marriage.
That was so good. I didn't even think about it, that Satan didn't bring anything into this world. He just corrupts things that God has already put into this world. What the heck? That's good.
Yeah.
Whoa, this is good. This is good, Carrie. I'm gonna make a TikTok about that. Can you have sex when you're engaged?
No.
No. Bye. Just kidding. Marriage is a covenant. You're not in that covenant until you're actually married. Engagement isn't a part of that covenant at all. You're either brothers and sisters in Christ or you're married. The sad thing is, and God forbid this, but engagements break off all the time. I know so many people who have gotten engaged and then they end up breaking off their engagement engagement. Engagement, easy to break off. Dating, easy to break off. Marriage, that's a whole whirlwind to break off.
A lot of paperwork.
Legally too. You're not in a covenant binding of one flesh until you're married.
It is a covenant. Engagement isn't a covenant. Like, it's a ring. Like, the ring can literally be removed. Like, there's no paperwork in this. I don't want to take it off, but
it's as easy as
very
dating,
easy.
breaking up.
Yeah, like, if you think about it, it's the same thing.
God made sex for your spouse, and they're not your spouse yet. Yeah, that's just very important to remember. Also, one thing is, I think something that the Lord has been teaching me is that I don't like some parts of the Bible. Me and my flesh, I don't agree or like with some parts of the Bible. But when I chose to be a Christ follower, when I chose to give my life to Christ, I didn't just choose to give a part of me to him. I chose to give all of me to him. And so whether I agree with it or not, I always go and agree with God, choose God's lordship rather than my flesh, because I know that he knows me better than I know myself. He designed things and he created things, so he knows the impact, what they will do. So in my flesh, I don't understand, but I trust that God knows better, and I trust that he knows what he created. Above all else, he's authority over my life and my decisions.
Teaching yourself how to obey.
Not only when it's comfortable for you, but when it's uncomfortable for you, when you don't like it, when it's scary. The Lord will catch you every time. Are your boundaries physically different now that you're engaged? Dating and engaged is basically the same. Like, it shouldn't be like, oh, I can kiss and now I can do foreplay. Like, it's like anything that's lustful is still considered a sin before marriage. And even after, like, lust is still prevalent, but just sex and your sex drive is only meant for your spouse. And so that doesn't change when you become engaged. But also some boundaries may change, like the kissing one, or even like how you feel about making out, or how you feel about cuddling.
Yeah, or like being alone. Like, some people can't be alone with the person they're with. So just kind of like knowing who you're with, and don't just like base it off of somebody else's relationship. Like, obviously this video is about advice, but knowing that I'm not the same as you and my partner's not the same as your partner or whoever you're thinking you're going to be with. And just kind of knowing that about yourself and like allowing God to play into that. If I ever felt like I crossed the line or something like that, like, obviously it would take time because you don't want to, like, you're shameful and you feel guilty and you don't want to talk about it. But like, writing letters to God is like a big way that I go through things that I'm struggling with. Any sins that I want to confess is like, I write it down because my words fumble and I feel like I can't speak confidently to God, which is an insecurity of my own. But like, a big thing is just writing, because then I can feel like I'm being honest and I can go back to it and I can be like, oh, I came out of that. Like, I'm not defined by that sin, not defined by that. Like, learning to have grace for yourself. God has grace for us, so why can't we have grace for ourselves? So like, make boundaries, but if you already feel like you've crossed the line, like having grace for yourself and now going back to your partner and be like, okay, I wasn't okay with this, like, this isn't in what God wants for us. Just go to the Bible, go to prayer, go to the Lord. He'll help you figure out your boundaries. If you feel guilty, you probably shouldn't do it.
Conviction is for growth, not for condemnation.
Exactly. To be convicted.
Convicted about sex. Okay, guys, that was the video with our dear friend Carrie. We hope you like this video. We're praying for you, and like, we hope that this video maybe even challenged you a bit. It just gave you a little bit more perspective, because obviously I'm not engaged, so that's why I brought her here for more perspective. And even I learned something. Any last words?
I think a big thing is take the pressure off your shoulders, because at the end of the day, it's God's plan for your life, not your own. I obviously decided to talk to Andrew when we met. We obviously decided to date, but at the end of the day, the Lord is the foundation of the relationship and has an ultimate plan for you. So allow him to take the lead. He's got it covered. If you're not in a relationship right now, like, this is your season to learn about something else, to focus on yourself, or to focus on your relationship with God, or to know where you lie and prepare yourself for that future relationship, because it's going to be your husband or your wife. They deserve so much love from you, and if you can't provide that now, then you're not ready for that. And you're never gonna be able to provide the amount of love that like Jesus has for us. But the fact that I could see that in Andrew was like, is enough.
That was good. Mic drop. You know, I like it. Okay, I have nothing else to say. She said it all. Bye, guys. Bye. That was good. We finally finished the video.